Hello everyone, and welcome back to Fixing Angry Birds, the series where I take one lower quality Angry Birds game and I give my ideas as to how to make them just a little bit better. This video was part 2 of a currently ongoing series, so if you haven't seen the previous video, you don't necessarily need to watch it to understand this one, but I still think you should watch it anyway for a little extra added context. In today's video, we will be discussing Angry Birds Friends. What started as a simple port of the first 2 episodes of Angry Birds Classic to Facebook had quickly become one of the most unique games in the Angry Birds franchise, complete with exclusive episodes, weekly tournaments, and even collaborations with various musical artists and celebrities. But then, everything changed when all the sprites in the game received a new art style. I mean, yeah, obviously, but in a different way. Friends, just like every other Angry Birds game, began focusing more on monetization than actually giving people something fun to play. Now, the whole game is a complete husk of its former self. But worry no longer, because this is where I come in. As much as I know that Rovio isn't going to listen to any of this, I still feel like I should give my thoughts, and at least give some suggestions how to improve this game's experience. Now, here's the interesting part. Unlike Angry Birds 2, I have seen other people give suggestions as to how to fix Friends. However, it always boils down to the same thing of bring back story mode and bring back the old tournaments. So, in this video, I would like to challenge myself by fixing the game whilst not doing that. As much as I would also like to see the return of these older features, things do need to change and evolve so they don't become stale and repetitive. So that's what I'm going to try to go for in this video. Fix the game by evolving it further. Now, with that finally out of the way, it's time to get into how I would actually fix this game. Starting with what you're forced to start with in the modern state of the game, the Piggy Tower. Piggy Tower acts as a tutorial for the game, in which the player gets acquainted with all the playable birds in the game before unlocking the tournaments on the 10th floor. So, can anyone tell me why it continues for 26 more floors after that? Similar to Angry Birds 2's Adventure Mode, once you've unlocked everything, there's really no reason to continue playing. Although, unlike 2, Piggy Tower at least has an ending, so I guess the point is that you complete it just to say you did. Either way, the easiest way to fix this game would be to just cut it down to the first 10 floors. And then you could rename it to Tutorial or something, because, in all honesty, those first 10 floors do work pretty well as a tutorial for the game. The next thing I would add is an archive for older tournaments. But Blues and Bubbles Gaming, you said you weren't going to add the old tournaments back. First of all, when people say bring back the old tournaments, they mean the older style of tournaments, something which I will actually get into later. And second of all, this wouldn't even be all of them. This hypothetical game mode would be a compilation of the most beloved and well-known tournaments throughout the game's history, such as the various Halloween tournaments, Rock in Rio, and even Freddy for a Day. That is, assuming they can get the copyright for that one. The main reason for this is app size. The more tournaments that get added into this game mode, the bigger the game as a whole is going to get, which can be a big problem for certain phones. I mean, have you played Minecraft Pocket Edition recently? That thing can cook modern phones in mere minutes! Anyway, Angry Birds Refresh has something similar to this idea called the Tournament Museum. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the museum, but I can't help but feel like its UI is a bit boring, and after a while, it's going to be pretty hard to find what tournament you're specifically looking for. My version of this would be a more episode-like format, just so you immediately know what it is you're looking for. And yes, I know I did this 2 videos in a row, but I like the episode format in Angry Birds. Sue me. Moving on from that now, I would like to talk about Blue's Tallest Tower. How this game mode works is every day 3 levels will become available to complete. If you reach the target score in each level, then the Blues will get to build another floor on their tower, which will give the player rewards. However, if the player fails to reach the target score, the tower will collapse down to the previous checkpoint. Now, once this is done, you then have the option to play Bomb's Magical Garden, which is the same thing as Blue's Tallest Tower without the risk of the tower collapsing. When completed, the tower will get decorated, and the player will receive more rewards. Now, I don't really have any problems with either of these game modes specifically, and the 2 problems I do have with them I'll get to in a bit. My only problem is, why is it Bomb's Magical Garden? Wouldn't Matilda make way more sense in that role? You know, it's not like she had 3 whole episodes in Angry Birds Toons dedicated to the fact that she has a garden or anything. So, it's Matilda's magical garden now, I've decided. Yeah, that's a much better ring to it, dude. What the hell, Rovio? Anyway, moving on again. I mentioned you could get rewards from Blue's tallest tower in Matilda's magical garden, right? Well, let's see what they are. 15 coins and a birdquake. On floor 60. Witches in space. Okay, something like this might make sense if it was like the first 10 floors or something, but this little, this high? Do you know how annoying it is to get anywhere in this game? What are the devs behind this game smoking? And it's not like Blue's tallest tower is the only place where this occurs. Every chest in the game, no matter where or how annoying it is to obtain, contains rewards that just are not worth it. Okay, look, I get it. They want to incentivize people to pay real money for bundles and stuff. But for those of you who don't know, I actually consider paying for progression in a video game using real money cheating. And this should only be done if the player is extremely stuck. Microtransactions should not be the main way to get any kind of ability in any game ever. So let's boost that reward chest a little bit. I'd say about 100 to 150 coins and 5 random power-ups per common chest sounds pretty good. And then maybe the rare chest could have about 500 to 1,000 coins and 15 random power-ups. Although I will admit my own greed might be getting in the way a bit, so maybe just imagine that a bit lower if you prefer. But alright, all that stuff we just talked about is essentially just minor nitpicks. Now it's time to talk about the real meat and potatoes of this video, and even the main reason I made this video in the first place. That being the level design. Let's take a look at a random level and see just how bad it is. Oh my god, what the hell do I do first? I guess I could try to aim bomb up here, but that would require shooting towards the top of the portal, which is something someone might not think to do right away. And then what do I do with the blues? Aim them towards the red button? How would I even guess that, though? There's no hint suggesting that besides the gap is tiny, but the blues' whole thing is splitting into 3, so why should I logically discern that? And then there's the problem of aiming Matilda towards the pigs in the back, and Hal towards the orange button back here, and both of those are not easy to do. Trust me, I know. And then don't ask me what to do with Chuck, because I haven't even gotten that far yet. So, I think it's been made pretty clear that Angry Birds Friends has a pretty bad level design. If we want to really fix this game and make it good, we're going to have to figure out how to fix this too. And so, that brings us to the question we will answer for the rest of the video. What makes for good Angry Birds level design? Now, obviously the answer to this question is very objective, as some people might have an easier time with certain levels than others, and so their views on those levels will differ greatly. But, doing some thinking, I think that good Angry Birds levels involve using each bird's abilities in an efficient way, presented in a clear way. For example, let's look at... Actually, hang on. Okay, so here we are on Angry Birds Refresh. This is level 3 of the current tournament, and I am using this because I wanted just an easy example. Didn't want to have to heavily search for it or anything. So, yeah, we're going to use this as an example of good Angry Birds level design. So, as you can see here, we have our birds. We have a Chuck, a bomb, and another Chuck. So, I'm looking at the birds, and now I'm looking at the structure here, right? Structure on the right. So, first thing I notice is this big thing here, but as you can see, there's no pigs in here, so I don't care at the moment. Now we have this big structure here, and I notice that there's 3 small wooden things Chuck can easily fly through. Now I do have the golden slingshot, which means he can very easily destroy everything if, which he will do. But this would be like assuming we don't have this, which is how I play anyway, so it's fine. So, I see these, I see Chuck, so I take Chuck, and I aim him towards the front, and just like that, tower gets completely destroyed. Okay, now I look at this next tower here, I see a lot of stone, see? Lots of stone right here, and look at that, our next bird It's Bond, whose whole thing is destroying stuff. So, aim him. And boom. Just like that. And now we just have one more little stretch right there. It's pretty far in the back. And Chuck's speed can get him over there. And just like that, the level is complete. Maybe, hopefully that can... No. Alright. But, yeah. I think this is a good example because it clearly shows how you can easily figure out how to beat it with the birds given, and yeah, so good level. I like it a lot. Now let's compare that to whatever this is. Sure, you could figure out what you're supposed to do after a while, but like I mentioned before, a lot of the shots in this level are not easy. And that's not even mentioning all the other random junk thrown throughout the level that, to my knowledge, you can only end up getting using power-ups. Now, I don't know about you, but that feels pretty scummy to me. Forcing people to use power-ups, something that you have to pay for, mind you, for 3 stars, feels like it goes against any good gaming design philosophies. I mean, they're paid for using in-game currency, but it's still not easy to get points in this game, as we established earlier. So, how do we fix this? Well, I have 2 ideas. The first, and most obvious, would be to actually take the time to make good levels and really make sure the level is fun before being officially released. But I get it, that's such hard work! And taking time on things, at least at first, would mean that they would probably be behind schedule for a while. And then what would Rovio do? Reuse a bunch of levels? That might come across as a bit lazy, but I guess it wouldn't be so bad if it was only temporary. But my other solution solves this dilemma. That being to remove the requirement to pop all pigs in the level. By doing this, the player can then focus entirely on getting as high of a score as they can, which is kind of the whole point of this game specifically. As for how stars would work, they would only be earned once certain scores quota is met. So it would still be implied you should focus on the pigs as much as possible. It just wouldn't be required to beat the level. Well, I think that's all I got for today. As stated prior, I highly doubt Rovio will actually listen to the ideas proposed in this video, so if you're looking for a good version of Angry Birds Friends, then I cannot recommend Angry Birds Refresh enough. I know I already talked about it several times in this video. They haven't paid me or sponsored me in any way. I just stumbled upon it one day and fell in love with it ever since. So, if you're looking for a way to bring back the classic Angry Birds Friends experience, then this game is perfect for you. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I can finally delete Angry, or at least stop playing it, because on the off chance it ends up getting removed, I don't want to end up losing it forever. I don't like lost media, but I can finally stop worrying so much about playing Angry Birds Friends every week, just to remind myself why I'm making this video and what I'm gonna say in it. So, yeah, that's really all I gotta say besides that. So, thank you everybody so much for watching. If you liked it, then you know what to do, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!